Hi, it's Ramsey Dewey at the JX Fight Club in Shanghai, China. I'm going to narrate a roll between myself and Karen, who is a relatively new student. She's been training for a little over a month. She got the takedown and is working for a guard pass. I recover half guard, get a butterfly hook, and hit an elevator sweep. Karen hip escapes, almost for her underhook butterfly hooks, and hits the same elevator sweep, putting herself into side control. And I recover guard. Karen works to pass. I sit up and another elevator sweep into full mount. Again, Karen hip escapes, something she's been working very hard on. I stand. Karen is thinking about an open guard sweep. She has enough momentum to hit that sweep right there, but ends up leaving a leg behind, and we end up in this 50-50 position. I give her a minute to see if she can figure it out, and she leaves the leg behind, so I go for the straight ankle lock. Now, when rolling with a new student, I always try to use techniques that I know that they know, and that is a technique we've worked on quite a bit. So I hit that ankle pick, and Karen recovers guard. I attempt a cross-side pass. Karen wisely gets up into the dog fight. I hit a Granby roll, moving back into guard. Nice pressure to the guard pass. Karen inside control, wisely transitioning into north-south using her frames there. One frame on the hip and one frame under the head. Posturing up a little bit, trying to separate an arm. I managed to re-guard, and Karen stands attempting to stack, giving up the butterfly hooks, working an X-guard sweep, actually. I love to use X-guard, especially down low, where a lot of people aren't really thinking about it. But when somebody elevates their hips like that's a possibility. All right, I'm setting up the bow and arrow choke, which is what we worked on today, or the day we shot this. Now, I know Karen knows this choke. She has practiced it quite a bit, and you'll see her actually attempt it herself later in this roll. Nice entry for a single leg. And she's working for the pass. And again, working the X guard. And again, that is something we have gone over. So I want her to see these things that we practice in class in live drilling, because she is somebody who pays attention. Now, that wasn't the best cartwheel pass. I didn't have a hand on her as I passed, so she could have easily spun around, but she gets that nice reversal. Nice hoopah there. And a beautiful cross-side pass. Again, framing to move to north-south, which is an excellent technique for a smaller fighter to control a larger opponent. She's working for the arm lock, but I'm deliberately holding on very tightly to see how well she was paying attention in class, because we drilled a lot from this particular position in order to set up the bow and arrow choke, which she is going for right now. Notice the position of her head. She's bringing it down very low to the body so that she can get that grip around the collar. And she gets the tap. Very, very tight choke. I was very proud of her to see that. We tie up, go for the leg. I'm attempting a same side pass. Karen is maintaining her guard. And when rolling with a small student, oh, that was a nice sweep she got there. When rolling with a small student, especially a new student, and a Granby roll back to guard, I find it very important to focus on technique rather than trying to bully them. And she left a leg behind there and tried to roll out of it belly down, which is a terrible idea when you are attempting to escape a straight ankle lock. So I really want to reaffirm that. And again, lacing the leg, getting a nice takedown there. But she gave me way too much space, so I was able to fit that knee under and attempt this arm bar, but she's able to keep her arm bent and avoid it. And I'm spinning around into an inverted guard here, but the time is over. So excellent roll, Karen. Thank you. In sharp contrast next, I'm rolling with Maxime, this extremely strong Slavic Superman here from Belarus, and he pulls guard, scrambles to top position. I turtle attempt to Granby, but he blocks my far side with the knee right there. So I'm playing it patient, seeing how much he remembers from the top. I attempt the Granby again, he blocks me again. So I posture up, attempt to sit out, attempt to hook the leg, he scrambles, avoiding it. Now Maxime is attempting the arm bar on this side, but yeah, my arm is in too deep and I'm putting too much pressure down on my left shoulder, so I Granby again, which allows me to stand back up. So we are jockeying for position, fighting for grips right here. He's attempting an arm drag, nice arm drag to the single leg, allows him to get the takedown. Maxime attempting the guard pass. Got a knee shield in there leading to butterfly hooks. And he's putting an enormous amount of pressure on. Now, as opposed to the roll with Karen, which I would say is highly technical, not so much competitive, this is a much more competitive roll. Again, Maxime is very much trying to win. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So I'm still trying to teach my students. I'm still trying to use techniques that they know. But at the same time, I'm definitely giving this guy a lot more power and a lot more resistance and a lot more physicality, if you will, than I gave to Karen right there. So again, he just puts a lot of weight on me right there. So he's attempting to take the back. And I got a lot of questions. How do you escape back mount when somebody has that? So right here, get your shoulder and your hip down to the mat, frame against the hip, or sorry, against the inside of the leg, and that allowed me to regard and hit an elevator sweep. Now, he's doing the crazy legs thing, and so I switched to S-mount, which shuts that down really, really quick. Trying to set up a arm bar from the top here, which I've gone over with Maxime quite a bit, and so he's very well aware of the danger he's in. But unfortunately, in the attempt to roll out of the position, he over-rotated, exposing his back. Now he's trying to make it very hard for me to get down lower. I would like to be lower, but since I have my hooks in, I'm able to bring my head right next to his, which is the ideal position to attack a choke from back mount. But again, hips down like that, sprawled down flat to the floor is possibly the worst position to be in. I switch to the body triangle, making it a little more difficult for him to escape his hips. But he's doing a great job hand fighting here, recognizing the threat to the neck, and this guy's grips are extremely strong, and so my hand is kind of stuck there. I'm going to open up my leg triangle here in a minute to see if I can use my legs to control his arm, because frankly my arm is not strong enough to do that. And again, he goes belly down. I sprawl to prevent him from using his hips. Notice his legs are elevated up off the mat. It's an extremely vulnerable position. If you can get into that position in an MMA fight, just throw hooks to the side of the head and you'll score a pretty quick TKO. However, since it's Jiu-Jitsu, we're still working for submission here. And he's got a tight grip on my hand. Again, knowing if he can control that hand, well, at the very least, I can't use it against him. So I attempt to switch to the arm bar, but again, too much pressure, too much weight. So I turtle, denying him the hooks that he's looking for. But again, to an inexperienced grappler, turtle looks an awful lot like back mount. But again, I'm shifting the hips, shifting the shoulder, preventing him from controlling the neck or threatening me with a choke from this position. Notice how I'm framing against the thigh right there, so that I can easily regard back into butterfly guard. So I'm attempting a switch to an inverted guard, but again, too much pressure right there. Now, that was a sharp contrast to grappling with Karen, so let's pair them up together and see what happens. Now, this match right here, I think, is an excellent example of how a bigger, stronger training partner can safely and effectively train with a smaller, weaker partner. Now, Maxime and Karen technically are really close. For the amount of time they put into the sport of Jiu-Jitsu, they both have fantastic technique. Now, you'll see Maxime he's doing a good job of not trying to injure or hurt his smaller training partner. And one way to do that is to feel for what your partner is doing. And if they are doing it technically correct, but you could stop it by spazzing out and bench pressing them off of you or whatever, you know, just kind of let them have it. But at the same time, don't be a complete pushover. It doesn't mean don't try for sweeps or submissions. So right here, Maxime is attempting a shoulder lock. Now, Karen doesn't actually have to tap out, but she doesn't know that. She could have shoulder rolled off. But again, we'll chalk that up to inexperience. You can actually sweep somebody from a side control position or a mounted position if you can lock up an arm like that. It's not the easiest thing to do against most people, but it can be done. So Karen transitioning to north-south using her frames. And when you can sit on somebody's head like this, I think she's pushed her head too far forward, and so Maxime is threatening with the legs, and he vaults over that arm bar, avoiding the submission. Karen is attempting an arm drag, but with her size, she really needs to frame with her knee up against, her foot up against his knee. So she was not able to drag him with brute strength alone as she was attempting. And Maxime rolls into a nice arm bar right here. Excellent control of strength and power right there, so that he could showcase his technique. And Karen does a great job of grip fighting, being really aggressive to get on the inside, whether she's fighting somebody big or small. And, you know, even though she's ultimately getting this armbar, she fell to her back without controlling his head. So, again, Maxime, if he was putting the pressure on, that would not have stopped him. So that I didn't like so much. But again, chalk it up to inexperience. So again, grip fighting, Karen trying for the high collar, switching to the sleeve, understanding sleeve control here, but Maxime is able to work toward the back, does not have his hooks in quite yet, and Karen was controlling his shoulder, putting her entire body weight on it, so she's attempting to establish a side control position, but you'll see Maxime, again, is able to get this Kimura position. Karen rolls backward instead of forward, which temporarily takes the pressure off, but again puts her into a half guard position. As Karen fumbles around a little in the half guard again. She's only been training a little over a month, so didn't know exactly what to do in that position. Something we're going to keep working on. And Maxime could go for a reverse armbar here, but again, he does not know the technique, so we're ending up in a weird human pretzel. The white belt human pretzel. There we go. But he's attempting to switch to an armbar, but in so doing, lost the position. And Karen is attempting to establish a top control position as Maxime sits up with the double underhooks. Now, Karen right here could get a lot of control if she would bridge up and elevate her hips off the mat, putting all of her weight onto Maxime's chest, but since she does not, he is able to roll on top fairly easily. Now again, there is a massive size and strength difference. When you pay attention to details, it makes a massive difference. And here he's going for a guillotine choke with
30 seconds.
A bit of an unusual grip right there, but that one works. That's a legit move. And Karen fighting for her grips. And again, Maxime being a very considerate training partner considering the size difference. I think he flopped a little bit on that takedown though. And again, we really need to work with Karen on pinning the head with the leg before going back on that armbar. But fantastic display from both students. Thank you so much for watching. Now get out there and train.